Welcome to the Los Griegos Library feature of the Poets in the Library series. My name is Oishi. I'm the Poet Laureate of Albuquerque, and I'm very pleased today because we have an exciting double feature, father and daughter. This is the first time ever during this series that we're featuring a father-daughter team. The first featured poet is Manuel Gonzalez. Manuel Gonzalez served as Albuquerque Poet Laureate from 2016 to 2018. He has been in the Albuquerque poetry community for over 20 years, using his poetry to work with schools, detention centers, and his community. His poetry collections include But My Friends Call Me Burque and Homeboy from Swimming with Elephants publications, and Duende de Burque from UNM Press. Manuel currently facilitates the bi-monthly writing workshop, Low Writing at El Chante. Please welcome Manuel Gonzalez.
The title of this poem is My Name is Albuquerque, but my friends call me Burque. With watermelon mountains melting misconceptions, with marijuana dreams and contemplative confessions, I watch cholos chasing chicas. They're living mi vida loca like the ancient Mexica, with kickback khakis that camouflage clown faces. We smile now, but we cry later. I watch breakdancing b-boys battling the crossfader. My name is Albuquerque, but my friends call me Burque, as my mother makes masa with flour and manteca, scraping her spices in a molcajete like the ancient Azteca, as Tolteca knowledge is passed down from my grandfathers. And my mother, she lights a candle for La Virgen de Guadalupe. My name is Albuquerque, but my friends call me Burque, as the sands of the santuario silently calls the sound for my soul, and the patience and perseverance of the penitentes plant the seed that will one day make me whole. And the legions of Mary who pray the rosary for humanity, who don't have enough time to bend their own knees. My name is Albuquerque, but my friends call me Burque. Listening to Saturday morning traditions played by musicians, the founding fathers of my self-image, those rancheras and cumbias and boleros sung with the teardrop on their vocal cords. Y volver, volver, volver. My name is Albuquerque, but my friends call me Burque. And I'm looking at a trisco, and I'm thinking about land grants, wondering if our kids even have a chance as day turns to night and they begin to dance. You know, I was named after a duke who never left Spain, and being junior without knowing your father brings a lot of pain. My name is Albuquerque, but my friends call me Burque. Thank you. The title of this poem is Vibrational Traveler. Beginning, heartbeat, breath, ritual, rhythm, respect to the four cardinal directions: above, below, within, without, earth, air, fire, water. Invite the presence of the ancestors, the spirits, the orishas, through poetry, incantation, drumbeat. The verse that begins to rhyme, and the rhymes become intricate, rhythms become complicated. Expose internal colonizations. We set our minds free, free-range thinking in the future. Future is the past, is now, is forever. We are the living visions of our ancestral dreams. The wisdom is written on the spiraling scrolls of our DNA. Inside that silence, we hear the ancestors whisper, spending times sharing space in silence and breath and the animus of life. Here is where we heal from the trauma suffered by our grandmothers, suffering in nightmares until they become dreams. That's the evidence of colonization. Assimilation, the pain of accepting the sangre of history, so we decolonize our minds, get rid of that internalized racism. It's the darkness that we carry against ourselves. They silence our abuelita's cries. So we weep with our breath and intention. The wisdom is carried on the wind. Listen to the quiet drumbeat, heartbeat. Listen to the ancestors sing inside the quiet of our minds, the wind-ridden wisdom, internal colonization that we change into thought patterns. We indigenize our thought patterns. We unshackle our thoughts into a free roam state of mind. Our history and books were burned, so we dance our prayers into the soil. We keep our stories oral. Tetzcatlipoca spoke of spoken mirrors. We are the reflection of the smoke returning to the fire. Our breath is the breath of the ancestors. We move forward, held up with our hearts filled with sangre, blood, the same blood that was washed away into the soil, the same blood that today brings us here. So we dance the water to fall from the sky. Today, we are the tierra beneath our feet. We are the fire burning in our hearts. Today, right now, if we breathe long and slow and listen for the silence, the quiet, the moment between each breath, the quickness where wisdom is written. We are the fulfillment of our ancestors' vision. 7 times 70 generations. It's time to heal from the conquest of Western civilization. Together, we sit in the circle to listen to the wise women who teach us the stories that were whispered in the darkness, that lead us to our redemption and our responsibility, becoming vibrational travelers, seeking the truth with every step.
Thank you, Manuel. And now we go to the second featured poet, Manuel's daughter, Sarita Gonzalez. Sarita Gonzalez is a high school junior in the creative writing department at the New Mexico School for the Arts in Santa Fe. Her first book of poetry, Burquenita, was published 5 years ago. She is a recipient of the Albuquerque Creative Bravos Award and the Albuquerque Hispano Chamber of Commerce President's Award for her community work using poetry. Please welcome the extraordinary young poet, Sarita Gonzalez.
The title of this piece is 1939. I remember the first time I saw you. It was in a jazz club in Paris, France. I wore a brown suit and suspenders to draw less attention. It took me just a bit too long to sit down, my cane just barely holding my weight. The pain was almost unbearable. As the room went dark, the pain faded away for once. You stood there in a banana skirt and no top. Breathtaking. With a sway of your hips and a shine of your smile, you effortlessly enthralled the audience. As you flowed and skipped across the stage, you puckered your lips, crossed your eyes, and pressed in your dimples to laugh with us. You looked so joyful and free, a mix of childlike glee and undeniable beauty. And then you sang. Soft enough to make me lean in, it was the bird song in the dead of night, breaking me out of this trance. Your voice was warm and sweet, and then you were gone. Just as swift as you had appeared, it took ages to snap me out of this daze, and once I did, I realized that I hadn't touched my tequila con limon. I couldn't get you off of my mind. Your voice and movement felt like a gift made only for me. You emerged from the stage door, and all I wanted to do was talk to you. Your voice felt so much stronger when in conversation. You told me about your life and why you danced, about Harlem. I told you about my cane, my life, and who I truly was. I finally understood our connection. When you told me about your pain, your loss, about Harlem and why you danced. We make art for the same reasons, you and I. Pain, that driving force, but we do it in very different ways. You smile and laugh to deal with it. I cry and paint to express it. Your heart glows with hope, and with a cracked soul, you bleed light. I knew that I was talking with a fellow goddess. So we talked until sunrise. And as you walked away, all I could think to myself was, Josephine Baker y Frida Kahlo just sounds right. Thank you. The title of this piece is She. She sits in a somber silence, afraid of the people around her, as she places paste over the cracks that form, invisible to the naked eye. Am I talking about myself or someone else? I can't pull her out, but I can lead her, show her the crack in the wall, and allow her to make the next move. Love is held differently by different people. I hold it softly, and yet allow it to roam where it pleases. It is a shapeshifter from connection to connection. Some people have a limited quantity of love. Others find a way to generate it within themselves or pull it from others. I don't know where mine comes from. She emerged fully formed, and I didn't know if she appeared or if she held an endless supply. She is uncontrollable. She grips on tightly even if they try to destroy me. I have never truly experienced romantic love that has been reciprocated. Instead, she clings on, and I feel all of the emotions in a rush before crashing down on an expression, a confession. All the times that I have done this, I have been laughed at, misunderstood, or ruined a relationship. I don't want to do that this time. Not with her. She means too much to me. I want to confess. I don't want to be misunderstood or misconstrued. I don't want it to slip by. I want to confess that when I see her eyes, they shine like sun-kissed iced tea on a midsummer's day. And maybe that's too much to say. And maybe I'm talking about myself because that allows me to give myself empathy. But I have finally accepted who I am and what I love, and I don't want to let her go. Accepting my love for her allowed me to accept myself, my body, my sexuality, my preferences, who I have become and who I want to become. And yet I'm scared to tell her, I know I deserve love. And if it's not from her, I can accept that in time. But that's not the only love I need. I gain strength from the family and friends that I hold dear, familia and gordura that will never leave my side. So I reach out with open arms, asking, will you go out with me? And maybe, if I'm lucky, she will say yes.
Thank you, Sarita. And now we're going to go indoors to hear from Nicholas Newland, the branch manager here at Los Griegos Library.
Hello, my name is Nicholas, and I'm the branch manager here at Los Griegos Library. The branch is the third library in the Albuquerque system and was built in 1954 after Main Library and the Ernie Pyle branch. It was renovated in 1990. Prior to being named for the neighborhood, it was referred to as the North Side Branch. It's a true neighborhood library and continues to welcome about 250 visitors per day. Generations of families have visited the branch for programs, craft activities, art exhibits, class visits, and of course, books, audiobooks, and movies. The branch supports local artists since opening in the 1950s. The library has had an art wall for community artists to display work, including the work of Lee A. Daly in Currently, we have an annual display of papier-mâché art created by a staff member to excite children about the summer reading program, as well as new art by painters and photographers. It's also home to a piece of public art called Big-Hearted Beasts by Ken Seville, created in 1986 to bring attention to canine adoption. We still have folks who visit and let us know about their memories of the building before the renovation, and we're happy to keep up the tradition.
Thank you, Nicholas, for giving us the history of Los Griegos Library. It's good to be reminded that the libraries are also places where the visual arts are often showcased as well. And now we're going to the Community Poets segment, where we feature poets in the neighborhoods around the libraries. And this is an important segment for me because I wanted to showcase just how many poets Albuquerque has. And literally there are hundreds of us. And I also want to encourage people who maybe never read their poetry in public before to do that, and people who may have written poetry but have not performed it as a spoken word piece. And I think that it's really fun to include all of these poets. I like to encourage everyone to bring out your inner poet and write. And here's a short poem that I wrote about that subject. When a poem goes unwritten, lost the flight path from nectar to hive, where all are hungry for a flower they will never taste. So I'd like to encourage you to write your poetry and bring it out and display it during this Poets in the Library series. And now, two of the poets who live in the neighborhoods around Los Griegos Library join us outdoors to kick off the Community Poets section. Our first community poet today is Johanna de May. Johanna de May grew up in Mexico City and has lived in Albuquerque since 1970. In addition to being a lifelong writer and studio potter, since 2014, Johanna attended the San Miguel Poetry Week in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico, where she was mentored by illustrious international faculty. Her poems have received 2 Pushcart nominations and have appeared in 2 anthologies as well as journals, including Sin Fronteras, Writers Without Borders, Poem, Constellations, Bosque, I-70 Review, The Main Street Rag, and The MacGuffin. A full-length collection of her poems will be released by Finishing Line Press in November 2022. Please welcome Johanna de May.
The title of this piece is English as a Second Language. At the Downtown Center for Immigrants' Rights, hand-lettered signs are in Spanish. Alien sounds park at the curb. No plodding iambic pentameter. No consonants slurred or hard-hitting as acid rock. No silent E's left to dangle at the ends of words. Limp flags on days with no wind. No double consonants yoked together, inseparable Siamese twins. No swarms of unpredictable vowels, flattened O's that sound like A in cop, constitution, job, God. Clipped in the second syllable of custody. Pronounced like U in money, compassion. In ESL class, English stages a coup. Bewildered as toddlers, Level 1 students strain to recognize words, like trying to pick out raindrops in a downpour. They relearn the alphabet. English letters have different names. Break lifelong habits of lips, teeth, tongue. To make an American R, your tongue mustn't touch the roof of your mouth. B and V do not sound the same, but D and T often do. I is not pronounced E, but sometimes the letter E sounds like I in Spanish. Chopping onions, scrubbing skillets, coworkers speak no English. Hearing your accent, big box checkout clerks grimace, shrug. At your neighborhood grocery store, they nod, say buenos dias. With doctors, at parent-teacher conferences, rely on your kids. TV and movies have subtitles, but the citizenship test is given in English. Register for level 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Johanna. Our second community poet is Richard Malcolm. Richard Malcolm is a musician and songwriter working in the genres of blues, jazz, and folk. He self-published a triad of poetry books in Santa Fe in the 90s and has read poetry in the Bay Area and New Mexico intermittently since the 1980s, most intensively during the Blue Dragon era in Albuquerque, and with numerous appearances at Poetry and Beer. He is also a photographer and a social worker. Please welcome Richard Malcolm.
This one was written March of 2020, right as the pandemic was kind of coming down on top of us. Grieve, my friends, my relatives, my far-flung companions in this time of plague. Grieve those who die, those who will die, those who suffer, those who will grieve, grieve with them. Grieve the days, the moments, the laughter lost, the people unmet, the sips not shared, the roads that will be unseen. Grieve the greed that will be shown, the darknesses of soul that will be bared, the cruelties that will be spoken and acted and borne. Grieve the swarms of misery that circle this world. Grieve the grief we fear we cannot bear. Grieve until we taste the fire of our own cells. Grieve until you think your lungs will burst. They will not. Grieve that every person you encounter could pass the plague to you, that you could bring death to your lovers or to strangers. Grieve as if it were a prayer. Celebrate my siblings, my neighbors, every breath of spring, every raindrop, every bird that casts a shadow or does not, every moment you have left. Celebrate every sensation, every pleasure, every love, every dawn of something new, every encounter of the soul, every fleeting color of cloud at the end of a day, everything that made you stop and wonder. Celebrate things forgotten that return in odd moments. Celebrate every danger survived, every evil escaped, every page turned, every word spun, every dream remembered or gone, every song that opened a door. Celebrate and grieve these things and more. Breathe, my lovers, my strangers, my kin. Breathe beauty where you find it, as if your life depended on it, as if every breath might be the beginning of the end. Breathe with your eyes closed, as if that is all there is. This breath, this breath, this breath, as if the empty space between them is the distance between stars, the unfathomable chasms between us all, deep as the eyes of the one, full of velvet darkness and invisible sparks and particles and the scattered stuff of DNA and our ancestors and their villages, but empty, empty, expanding into the next breath, full of molecules that enter our blood, spike our neurons, pulse our senses, and exhale the broken pieces of moments we can't find. Breathe as if it is everything and nothing, grieving and celebrating, weaving strands of moments that sail and unravel, like dreams, like this dream where we grieve and celebrate and breathe.
Thank you, Richard. And now we go indoors to meet the rest of the community poets. So now we're back indoors with the Fab Four, the four final community poets for Los Griegos Library. And they're last but not least. Shirley Edmondson is a school teacher, and this was her first day back with students in the classroom. She is also a poet and memoirist. Originally from New Jersey, she has been a career reading specialist and ELA teacher for 35 years. She is a member of Earthseed Black Arts Alliance, New Mexico Black Women United, Southwest Writers, and Women Writers of the Diaspora. Please welcome Shirley Edmondson.
Thank you so much. I'd like to read a poem, and this is dedicated to the millions of BIPOC people who were murdered and will be murdered because of the color of their skin. Its title is Remembering Amadou. Black Lives Still Matter. 1. 41 bullets pierce through air and living energy. Flesh spirit is gouged 19 times. In those last moments, his mind questioning, going into shock, whole body confusion, slipping into a traumatized darkness. Vision is dimming and then into the light. He has been dismembered by traitorous people who swore to serve and protect. 2, I feel a circle of shame surround me, an impotence, a frustration at another soul unjustly taken. Anger at the depths of my sorrow, my voice screams the name Amadou. Confusion reigns in collusion with the nerve-tripping fear that we have been here before and we will be here again. The ownership of Black bodies by those who are at war with their own misguided notion of supremacy. We mourn Eleanor Bumpurs, Tyrone Davis, Sandra Bland, Michael Griffiths, George Floyd, Anthony Baez, Patrick Dorismond, Breonna Taylor, and the names continue. Our ancestors are weeping at the violence perpetrated on people who make up the majority of this planet by the minority who stand in constant fear of the other. 3, I sit in a circle of shamans, angry, sad, self-pitying, and vengeful. I am drumming to a wounded heart that beats out of sync. What am I doing here? How does this heal a society's sickness? I am dancing as I enter a trance. My eyes roll back into my head for non-seeing vision. Remembering myself, the spell of negativity is broken. I realize this poem is to remember Amadou. It asks for silence, a centered energy. Visualize a ray of light passing over his body. Heal the 19 bullet wounds. Bear witness to his lonely, early morning violent death in the darkened doorway on his home from work. So close, so close. Heal the inner rage and heal his pain, our final pain. This poem asks for a moment of focused light energy for Amadou. Let your thoughts guide his soul over and through the veil. Help him make the transition that was so sudden. Amadou is remembered. Amadou becomes God. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. It's good to bear in mind that all of us have endured some trauma throughout this pandemic that's kind of sustained trauma, but many of us also bear additional traumas and makes it especially hard to have this added trauma of fearing this dreaded disease, and now with its resurgence. So yes, let's be kind to each other.
Let us continue to be kind.
Yes, thank you, Shirley. Thank you so much. Our next reader is Megan Baldrige. Megan Baldrige is a retired teacher turned gardener and knitter. She taught 4th grade, middle school, and high school English and GED. She started writing poetry in the last 5 years. She has read in local venues and has written 12 books in the last 5 years since retiring. Wow. She writes about politics, gardens, dogs, and knitting. 2 of her books were finalists for the New Mexico-Arizona Book Awards, and her book, Knitting Matters, won the New Mexico-Arizona Book Award in the crafts category in 2019. Please welcome Megan Baldrige.
Thanks, Mary. I have been in the garden a lot, and so I'm reading 2 garden poems, looking backwards over 2021. This is a mother bug lullaby. This is a pumpkin eulogy, is the title of the first. This is a song for all my squash bug eggs hidden on the Jarradale pumpkin plant. You are infinite in number on July 20th. Dining on new buds at dusk, I spy you, my newly hatched. tiny balls of sticks, 2-day-old porcelain robin's egg, blue bits with 6 roving legs. You drill blossoms, share thirst for sweet sap of pumpkin flower. Upon which stem or leaf did I lay you? There are so many of you. We glance at each other across petals. Me, mom proud, there are so many of you. You, many daughters, born loving pumpkins. This is a lullaby about multitude, about plenitude. This is a lullaby about plethora. This is a lullaby about profusion. This is a ballad about coverage, overage, overachieving, profusion. Overachieving, achieving success, excess, succession. This is an ode to pumpkins withering on the vine, the ones that never had a chance, worrying, collapsing, shuddering, stuttering. This is a eulogy about one garden dream that fed on another. Overwhelmed by June, going backwards. I've been awaiting you, dear friend June. You who woo me, make me swoon. Sashay over, show me shimmer. Let's bust hot moves, let's get glimmer. Give me sun, I'll show you skin. Let's open doors, stay light late, let fresh air in. But I beg you, my promiscuous, permissively pollinating June bug mistress, enough elm mischief. That seedy elm gang has my yard discovered, my just watered vegetables covered, by tufts of diaphanous stuff, fluttering in a hover of shifting, grifty, tough fluff. Every June, I'm overwhelmed, unsettled, rattled, locked in battle, not ready to coddle, ready to throttle the elms and you. So dear June, no more elm pollination, nor elm baby procreation, nor elm seeding, nor elm feeding. I can't be 24/7, 7 million elm weeding. June, repeat after me. I will no longer receive the Siberian elm tree. And this is like a rain dance. I can't believe this. This is also dedicated to Mary and her bravery in becoming poet laureate in tough times. And I'm gonna have to move inside to hear everyone else because it just started to rain while I was reading 2 garden poems. So thank you.
Here in Albuquerque, it's a blessing when we get some rain. So it's wonderful that that you brought some rain with those poems. So many of us are getting into gardening, even if we weren't before. I know so many people who are doing really big gardens now because of the pandemic. So that's a good thing, I think. Connecting with the earth and our food. Okay, the next poet is Teresa Gallion. Teresa E. Gallion is a seeker on a journey to unfold spiritually in this present lifetime. The land is sacred and her spiritual temple for quiet reflection and contemplation. She has published 4 books, Walking Sacred Ground, Contemplation in the High Desert, Chasing Light, a finalist in the 2013 New Mexico Arizona Book Awards, and her most recent book, Scent of Love. I think I've heard her read from all of those, and I don't know what she has for us today, but I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Please welcome Teresa E. Gallion.
Thank you for this opportunity to read. The poem I'm going to read is called Come to Me. Come to me, slowly and gently, with your heart in your hands. Come to me with intentions that make me bend my knees for you. Come to me with passion like a spirited black stallion. Come to me exposing your nakedness, wearing the blood you shed in my name. Come to me with humility, flooding your eyelids. Come to me with a song on your lips that praises my beauty. It is not too late to change your ways. It may influence my wrath. You may avoid coming when guilt and shame holds your throat. You may come and sin against my breast, believing you will get away with murder. But you will come as you must, and I will be unforgiving. You have abused me for the last time, and your day of reckoning waits. You will bend your knees in sorrow, beg forgiveness, and I will crush you in perfect justice, for I am Mother Nature. Thank you.
Wow, that ending was a real twist. Thank you, Teresa. Our final poet is someone I've known a very long time. I think actually, Dale, you were one of the first to publish my work when I came here to town in Central Avenue, the poetry magazine. Dale Harris organizes the annual Poets Picnic at the City of Albuquerque Open Space Visitor Center in Albuquerque. Her poems are widely anthologized. She is the author of 4 collections of poetry: Dream of Dragonfly, Daytime Moons and Other Celestial Anomalies, Orchard Dreams, Haiku by Dale Harris, and The Love of a God. Please welcome Dale Harris.
Oh, thank you, Mary. Coming to you from my kitchen. And yeah, I've known all of you and held you in such regard for quite a while now. So I love our community of poets. I've got 2 poems. The first one is about walking my dog. And you should know the dog is 120-pound Akita, who is very strong. So here it is. I did not take a walk today so much as the walk took me, or rather my dog walked me, pulling me along on his lead, at first stumbling and then running alongside in a celebration of dawn. The summer is soft and smelly, overripe by a day and beginning its wane. Already there's a change, the morning air cool and sweet to breathe like ice cream over an apple pie night. I am too old to cling to seasons, knowing each one has its timing and that the ebb of one begins the other's flow. Oh, but this year the peonies were never finer. It will be harder letting go. The day is a carpet ready to unroll. My dog finds a new track and wants another roam, but my mind is already on coffee and talking on the telephone and heading back home. And the second is a haiku. The earth's great turning, stars cascade then dim at dawn. Rivers dream of rain. So thank you.
Thank you, Dale. And thanks to all of the community poets who live in the vicinity of the Los Griegos Library. I think we've had a wonderful time of poetry together. I hope you enjoyed it. If you would live in Albuquerque and would like to participate as a community poet at your neighborhood library, please get in touch with me at ABQ Poet Laureate Program at gmail.com. I had to think for a minute. It's a long email address. ABQ Poet Laureate Program at gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching, and please support your local library and all of the fabulous poets here in Albuquerque.